What in the...
A faceless being?
What the heck? His face, it's just like... the picture of the founder! I think that's the last thing anyone expected to see. Father, what was it? What was it you saw?
Are we to understand that this was the last thing the victim saw?
Yes, there can be no mistake. That was what my father himself witnessed.
How very strange. You don't suppose the Holy Mother possessed the accused and slew Minister Inga for planning a coup? The divine wrath of the Holy Mother? Oh, Holy Mother, we are ever grateful for your blessings. Talk about a sharp left turn into the Twilight Zone. You know, there's one thing in there that caught my attention. That laugh. Who does it belong to, and why are they laughing?
Who knows? Though I suppose it could be Dirk after he slew my husband.
Uh-huh. But that figure didn't even have a mouth.
I think we're done here, lawyer.
How so?
You claim that Minister Inga was stabbed in his private quarters, and feeling no pain went to the tomb where he eventually fell dead. But this seance vision proves he was stabbed in the tomb and felt great pain, no less.
Oh, that.
Therefore, as I asserted all along, it was the accused who stabbed the minister in the tomb.
Ah! Everything just backfired.
Big time.
Wow, Khura'in has the devil's own luck, doesn't she?
Now then, I shall give voice to the soul of the deceased. Listen well and heed these words.
Insight.
Rafa's insight. At around 3 p.m., my father was waiting in the tomb to make the hostage exchange. He was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother. He had been waiting vigilantly when suddenly he heard Dirk's voice. The next moment, he was stabbed in the back and collapsed. My father tried to shoot his attacker, but he missed, and the attacker let out a laugh.
So what now, Mr. Wright? It's up to us to knock holes in Rafa's interpretations of Inga's memories. In other words, we need to prove that our understanding of them could be mistaken.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Third panel. Now we gotta wait, or fast forward. There we go. Now what we gotta do for the third one is present the man's voice.
Objection!
Your benevolence, there seems to be an inconsistency in your interpretation. An inconsistency? Where? Minister Ing is far too relaxed for what was supposedly about to take place. When he heard the voice you claim is Dirk's, he didn't seem the least bit alarmed. He just kept looking at the picture of the founder. Ah!
That's strange, right? He was waiting for Dirk to arrive with the founder's orb, but when he heard that voice, he didn't even turn to look. Don't you think he would have been worried about being attacked from behind?
Ah! Then whose voice was it?
It was likely someone whose presence wouldn't have alarmed him. Someone like a friend?
Objection!
But there was no third party at the scene of the crime. Therefore, the voice could only have belonged to Dirk.
The voice of a third party who wasn't there in the tomb. Apollo, don't we have something that could reveal the owner of the mystery voice?
You know, I think we do. Something that Inga had while he was waiting for Dirk. With it, we just might be able to figure out whose voice it was. I believe we can identify the male voice Minister Inga heard with this, the tomb crime photo. That's my father's. I know this must be hard for you, but could you please look at this photo? There's something here that can point us toward the identity of the voice. This is the real source of the man's voice. That cell phone on the ground.
Take that!
A cell phone? Right. I believe that the voice the minister heard was of a call on the cell phone.
I see. Well, that certainly makes sense. What is your eminence's view on the matter?
I concede the possibility. Then it seems I must refine my vision. It appears that the voice belonged to one of my father's subordinates.
Why do you suppose he was talking to one of them then?
My father had members of the secret police positioned throughout the palace. They were supposed to contact him as soon as they saw Dirk and the rest of you.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Your benevolence, I believe you have an insight to revise. I know, Barbed Head. Don't presume to tell me how to do my duty.
Insight revised.
My father then took a call from a subordinate at the palace.
So the voice was coming from the phone. That's good to know.
But there might have been other sounds coming from the phone. Sounds that could be clues. Let's take another look at Rafa's insights and really focus on the various sensations. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this now. Third statement.
Booyah! Here, the lion's roar.
Objection!
I hate to break it to you, your benevolence, but you misinterpreted something again. What do you mean? Again?
Smooth move, Apollo. I think you just hurt her feelings. She may put on a brave face, but she feels more than she lets on. Let me rephrase that, your benevolence.
Your interpretation of your father's phone call to a subordinate at the palace is inconsistent with his final memory. What do you mean by that?
A lion's roar could be heard over the phone. Don't you find that strange? You claim the call was with someone at the palace. But let me ask you, do you keep lions there?
No, the only animals at the palace are little birdies and my pet frog.
Wait, that giant one in front of the minister's house is her pet?
Besides, there aren't any lions in Khura'in. We don't even have any zoos. A rather sad state of affairs, I'm afraid.
Well, I remember hearing a sound like that.
The lion's roar coming from the phone is actually from something hanging out in the bazaar.
Isn't that the cry of the warbod over in the bazaar?
Ah! Your benevolence. Do you think you can clarify the voice for me? Very well. I will now attempt to further refine my vision.
A warbod.
What's this?
Just as I suspected. It was the call of a warbod. That means the subordinate Minister Inga was talking to was in the bazaar, not the palace.
Well, why is it important where the call came from? What significance could it have?
She's right. Isn't it important to know where the call was made from? Yes, it's very important. It's actually very important. Knowing that the person on the other end was at the bazaar means that the loud explosion might not have been the sound of a gunshot.
But I can think of no other item that makes such a noise in the area.
Go ahead, Apollo.
Tell her. Tell Rafa the real source of that sound.
Will do.
Well, Hornhead, I'm waiting. What was the true source of the explosive sound?
All we have to do is present Albie's statements.
What is that? It's Albie or Guide's statement. In it, he claims that That's Arabal threw a firecracker at him while he was at the bazaar. Then, yes, the sound heard over the phone was a firecracker exploding. Ah!
Objection!
And yet, a bullet was found at the scene of the crime. A bullet fired from Minister Inga's gun. How do you explain that?
Well, we don't know whether it was fired during the course of the crime, right?
Or do you have evidence that proves when the pistol was discharged? No, I have none.
Wait a second. If that loud bang was a firecracker, then could that laugh at the end have been... No, it can't be.
Oh, it can, and it is. The laugh came from none other than... the Joker who got a kick out of startling Albie with his dragon snot snaps. That happy-go-lucky That's Arabal. What? Someone should really put a leash on that guy.
I shudder to think how one man can be the cause of so much.
Hey there, AJ, PW. Y'all can thank me later. No one asked for your commentary, Mr. Arabal. Your benevolence. Do you need to revise your insight? It would appear so. My father then took a call from the subordinate at the bazaar. The true source of that loud bang was the firecracker Dats threw. And that final laugh belonged to none other than Dats himself. Well, this changes everything. Let's go over the details of Rafa's insight again. Okay. I think I've got this down now. Time to find another inconsistency. This time we only need to show on the first. Right here. Bingo. Let's only hope I'm right about this.
Objection!
I am. Your benevolence. There's a glaring problem with this insight. There is? You stated that the murder happened at around 3 p.m., which is right around the time my client arrived on the scene. However, now that we know what the source of the loud bang is, your insight conflicts with a certain piece of evidence.
I suppose I have to ask the obvious here.
What evidence conflicts with the claim that the murder occurred at 3 p.m.?
Albie's statement. Again. Albie or God's statement? Again?
Yes, because to summarize what he said. At around 2 p.m., Shadow was surprised by a firecracker and ran into the palace courtyard.
Around 2 p.m.?
That's right, 2 p.m., not 3 p.m. Ah! Are you suggesting? I think you know where I'm going with this. Datz's laugh, the cry of the warbot, and the bang of the firecracker were all heard right before Minister Inga's death. Thanks to Albie's statement, we can put a definitive timestamp on all of these sounds. Therefore, what this vision shows is that it's extremely likely that the deceased's final moments were at 2 rather than 3 as we had originally thought. Dare I ask? It means the murder took place a full hour before Dirk entered the tomb. How can this be? Are you saying that I, the very personification of the law, have been mistaken? Now you see why justice will always prevail, and your clip-on nails come off.
Peace, peace, I say. Now then, defense. I must remind you that the figure of the accused was clearly shown in the vision. How do you explain that?
I wouldn't say it was clearly shown. After all, the figure didn't actually have a face.
Ah, you're absolutely right. Without a face, we can't be certain of who it was.
Furthermore, need I remind you that the vision is from 2 p.m. Dirk was still with me and Mr. Wright, which means this faceless figure couldn't possibly be him.
So then, what are we to make of this 1 hour difference?
Wait, it's 2 o'clock. That's when my mother was performing the rite of channeling.
The palace guards have all been reassigned to guard the channeling chamber for the rite.
Don't tell me. The royal residence. It would have been virtually unguarded.
Which means the real killer could have easily slipped unseen in Romar's tomb. Defense, are you saying that this is someone disguised as the accused?
That's exactly what I believe, Your Majesty. Preposterous. Disguises cannot deceive the memories of the dead. That the face did not appear this time is mere happenstance. Had it appeared, such subterfuge would have been clear as day. He's got a point there. Anyone who knows about the Divination Seance would have tried to hide their face. Nevertheless, our killer openly appeared before Inga. The question is, why? Apollo. Maybe the killer could afford to be so bold, because they knew their face wouldn't show up in the Seance vision. What? It's possible that the killer dared to dress in Dirk's clothes and stand square in front of Inga, precisely because they knew they could get away with it. But how can anyone be so sure of something like that? A long time ago, I heard of a cognitive disorder that impairs a person's ability to distinguish between different faces. What if Inga had it? Then are you saying that this is literally how Inga saw the world? Yes. We can't normally see through the eyes of others, but in this case we can. And if he had that disorder, I imagine this is how faces appear to him in life. Okay, let's say that the killer knew that Inga had such a disorder. They could definitely use it to pin the crime on Dirk. But if you're wondering about how to prove that Inga had it, you already have what you need.
Really? Well, defense, do you have anything to show to this court?
Yes, I believe so.
Frankly, I have no idea what Mr. Wright means, but I'll look the evidence over again.
What explains why the face of Mr. Inga's killer is absent in his seance vision?
Inga's notepad.
Take that!
A notepad?
Yes, it was found in Minister Inga's room, and it holds the answer we're looking for. As you can see, it's filled with detailed notes on various individuals, what kind of clothes they wear, hairstyles, and other discerning physical characteristics.
And this is connected to the faceless nature of the killer? How?
The vision we saw was exactly what Minister Inga saw with his own eyes. It is he who saw his killer as a person without a face. In fact, this is how he normally saw everyone around him.
What's this?
I believe Minister Inga had a disorder that prevented him from recognizing faces. It would explain the faceless being, and why he needed a notepad full of people's physical characteristics. Now that I think about it, my father was always terrible at remembering people. By simply changing my hairstyle, he would fail to recognize even me. Your Eminence, you knew that your husband has such a disorder, didn't you? He never wished for it to become public knowledge. But I suppose there is no use in keeping quiet about it now. It is as you say. My late husband had a special disorder that hindered his ability to recognize faces. The medical term for this is prosopagnosia. So Mr. Wright was right. The memories of those afflicted with such disorders in life do appear strange at times. There is precedent for this. So the killer likely knew about the disorder and used it to their advantage. Right, so there's someone who was both knowledgeable about the Divination Seance and aware of Inga's affliction. Your Eminence, who knew about your husband's condition? A small number of servants who tended to his needs. And me. Surely you're not about to insinuate that I committed this crime. Oh no, Your Eminence.
Still, could she have done it?
Khura'in has an alibi, remember? Oh right. She was conducting the rite of channeling at 2 p.m. In that case, Your Eminence, does Nana know about Minister Inga's disorder? Of course she does. She is our head servant. So as head servant, she knew about Minister Inga's condition. And as the princess's personal attendant, she's familiar with the Divination Seance. If these two facts together don't make her a possible suspect, I don't know what would.
Objection!
You witless lawyer, how quick you are to forget the facts.
Facts like...
When Inga was last seen alive. You claim he was slain at 2, yet that is impossible. For Rafa saw him at 2:30. Ah! We did completely forgot about that. No, there must be some mistake. So you see, the murder could have only happened at 3 p.m. The hour Dirk entered the tomb, there is no other answer to this puzzle. Ugh, why don't we ever get to make up answers like Iran makes up laws?
Guess it's back to square one.
Where did we go wrong?
I don't think we are the problem. We just seem to be short one piece of the puzzle. Our deductions so far explain everything to a T. Everything except for Inga's sighting at 2:30.
I see. And without that final puzzle piece, all of our deductions fall apart.
Apollo, if Inga's sighting is the only anomaly, we'll just have to find a way to make it fit into the bigger picture.
Time to think outside the box then, right? Let's see. It would be impossible to see Inga walking around after he'd been killed. But what if there was a way to make people think he was alive even though he was dead?
Like a way to make people witness the living dead? Sounds like some kind of TV show. Things like that don't happen in real life.
Apollo, did you just... I did. I figured it out. I know how to make people witness the living dead. Your Majesty, our deductions weren't wrong after all. Despite Minister Inga being murdered at 2 p.m., he was seen heading into the tomb at 2:30 p.m., and I'll tell you how.
I certainly hope you will, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
The Minister Inga, her benevolence saw, was in fact someone channeling him. It was the deceased being channeled. It's the only way a man who was already dead could have been seen by her benevolence.
Channeled, you say?
That's right. And there are only two people capable of spirit channeling here in Khura'in. Her Eminence Queen Kurain and Maya Fey. It's possible that one of them was channeling the minister. It would seem that you are ever bent on making me party to this crime. Prosecutor, what was I doing at 2:30 p.m., the time at which my husband was seen?
Eminence, I believe you had completed the channeling rite, and were having tea with the king of the neighboring realm. There would have been many attendants there too.
Nayuta has to keep up with her schedule too? What doesn't she make him do? Then that leaves only Maya. Yeah, it does. Maybe someone was forcing her to use her power toward nefarious ends. The real killer could have been threatening her. That cannot be. So then Inga's scream, that was probably from when he woke up from being called back to this world. After all, that's when the flow of time would have picked back up for him after he died. So Minister Inga probably leapt to his feet thinking he just had a nightmare. Then realizing it was almost time for the hostage exchange, he raced off to Amara's tomb, not even realizing he was already dead.
Then, her benevolence really did see a dead man running. Using the sacred power of spirit channeling to commit a crime. How can this be?
The defense calls Miss Maya Fey to the stand.
Well, Your Eminence, will you allow a new witness?
If matters not, either way this lawyer shall soon know the truth. He will know just how much of an imbecile he is in the face of my infallible arguments.
Insult me all you want, witch, but you'll be eating those words when I expose the truth. Very well, let us adjourn until the next witness is ready. If push comes to shove, this is going to be split into parts. Because that's kind of my plan to begin with, because holy moly, this is going to get nuts. So yeah, that is it. If you enjoy it, like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. I will see you in the next. This is where things are going to get nuts. I mean that. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by Capcom.